Selectors, and welcome to another Wixoss video where we're talking about the deck list for the new centers in Welcome Back Diva, which is readily available to us now. Today we're going to be talking about Yuzuki, 3 Flaming Shouting Fire. This is the new, again, I'm using the cockatrice setup here, so you're going to see some Japanese intermixed with the English. Oh, as always, thank you, Tetris, for providing us with the ability to be able to see this digitally and in a better format. It seems like you guys have been liking it, so I'll keep trying to do it this way. We're going to be talking about Yuzuki. How does Yuzuki function? Well, let's talk about Yuzuki herself first. She is a level 3 red lrig with the following abilities. Auto. At the beginning of your attack phase, you may target 1 card in your opponent's Ener zone and put it into the trash. If you do, the opponent gets to Ener charge 1. Its enter ability is you can vanish 1 Signy on the opponent's field, and the action is once a game, you can Ener charge twice. Then if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their Ener zone, you can target up to 2 cards in your opponent's Ener zone and put them into the trash. So Yuzuki here functions kind of like a better version of DJ Lovett, and I mean that for both of DJ Lovett's Lrigs. And sort of just kind of sadly puts DJ Lovett a little bit to shame here. It's interesting, right? Because her auto ability doesn't necessarily stop the opponent from being able to have Ener in their Ener zone, but what it really does very well is it stops them from having the correct colored Ener. This helps for a lot of decks because there's many decks that splash to have access to a 3-stop Lrig. It's just sort of one of the default things you do in Wixoss. So it's like, it is in fact a majority of the deck. So you can use this to just screw the opponent's color. It also doesn't have any functionality where the opponent has to be a level 3, so theoretically you can screw them out of a grow as well. When it enters, you can vanish something off the field. You want to be a little careful, too, if you're trying to plan to screw the opponent in terms of color screw, that you'll want to vanish something that is off color, or so that you can potentially get rid of that thing later down the line, or that you are not giving them the color that you're also, erasing. And then its action ability once per game is you can do the Ener charge and get rid of the opponent's stuff. The Ener charge is actually pretty good in a red deck because you do have some stringent red requirements like various Heras or Iwatoshis that you'd like to pay for, maybe even Kintokis. And this kind of allows you to do that. It also, aside from that, helps get rid of more cards from your opponent's Ener. Again, this is going to be all streamlined towards stopping some kind of 3-stop Lrig. That's being Madoka Clap or MC Line Disrespect or probably Machina Binds or Deus Shield. And it can do that really well. That's like the one thing that this deck really does fantastically. I also want to point out that this deck was not designed by me. This deck was designed by my friend and local. This is the guy who won the 6th place at the most recent ceremony with his really innovative Nova brew. So I knew he really was excited. Anthony was really excited about running this deck list, so I just thought I'd just straight up group think and go to him and ask what his opinion would be, and he put together this deck list for us to share. It's actually very cool. It's got a lot of things that, again, that aren't necessarily what I would choose from distinctly, and because of that, it has a different edge to it that I think you guys might be looking for, something like that. It is very standard sort of red aggro, but with peaks of some other stuff in it. So outside of Yuzuki, which is probably an aggro card, when you're talking about Ener burning, you aren't usually talking about being a mid-range deck, though you can be. But the vanish on enter also pushes it towards a more aggressive stance. The other Lrig options that we're going to be using is Akino Bye Bye and Akino Rock here. This just gives you a little bit of longevity. And also kind of more Ener denial. Again, bouncing is, in essence, Ener denial. So you can use this to bounce out the things that are the color that you're trying to screw. And then you can vanish the on-color stuff that you're not trying to necessarily screw. Then, let's see here. So you've got Machina Wing Slash and Machina Smash. This is your normal sort of Everyone's running this combo. It's super, super strong. It allows you to constantly recur board states. And there's a few board states that you're looking to recur with this deck that make it sort of like a little bit more spicy than the normal red aggro because of the Machina Wing Slash and Machina Smash. But as it being an aggro deck, this combo of 2 cards is readily available. You might recognize this combo of cards to basically being just Glory Grow and Go to the Top that No Limit would have, and it is incredibly similar to that. So you got to remember, Twine Supremacy is basically Glory Grow. It's not quite as good, but it is pretty close. For 1 red Ener, you can go ahead and, in this team specifically, because we're running a dream team, you can target 1 level 3 lrig on your field to gain the following ability, which is once a turn when this attacks, you can crush one of your opponent's life claw. If that opponent chooses to have that card's life burst activate, you may pay 2. If you do, it does not activate. You'll have a little bit of Ener here. You'll notice that the 2 goes really, really well with Yuzuki's ability to Ener charge 2, so you basically can always pay for it. And also another thing that goes really well with Yuzuki's 2 is that you can always make sure that you have your Akino Bye-Bye basically available. Not just the normal grow cost, but also its ability to recur a guard from the trash to give you guys a little bit of longer game. One of the things that aggro struggles with is getting those guards early on, so it's not just dead in the water to literally other aggro decks. And Akino Bye-Bye is a nice way to sort of remedy that without having to twist the deck into draw discard world, as well as that red primarily does, or the paying Ener to find cards like white does, or having to force blue into your deck to get it. And then the Go to the Top is just more of the same. He said you could replace this with Xenocluster if you felt more comfortable with that and you felt like you wanted to push less on the Ener burn, but I can understand why you'd want to use this. Its finding selection is really nice to find a Diabride or find an Exia later in the game to give yourselves more of a better board positioning. It also helps, like, you could use this turn 4, so you could blow out the opponent's Ener, turn 2, turn 3, and then have, they think, all right, well, I've gotten my resources now to play my 3-stop, so I didn't do it last turn on turn 3, and then you play this, and you're basically like, no, you are never getting the ability to play your 3-stop. Outside of that, you've got your normal multicolored tier with XX. We're running 1 Hera in the level 2 slot and also 3 Lancelots. Theoretically, you could swap that into being a 2-2 split or a 3-1 split or a 4-0 split if you'd like. I always like Hera a little bit more, but Hera is a little bit more awkward in this deck now that we are running a little bit of Exias here. But I think 4 white is really the minimum that you can, or the maximum you can run while maximizing Hera's effect. So I think that's why he went through the 3-1 split here. He's going for the full 4 Awatoshis, which is awesome. I think the deck is very much on that whole screw the opponent out of color. It doesn't matter how much blue they've got, they're not Madoka clapping you. So I think that's really, really cool. It runs 2 Kintokis. Again, no souls in this deck, so you're not really able to get the Kintoki's Ener burning effect as much as you might like it to be. But the ability to just blow some assassin out of nowhere is very good and definitely worth the 2 slot here. We've got more Ener burn here. This is the Nabi, which has just been shown since the X deck has been really running that this is a very, very, very solid choice to do. Running 1 Nobunaga, again, this basically acts as a spell. And is able to sort of like deal the double crush. It plays really well to Go to the Top as well, so that way you can almost always have a Nobunaga every game, even though this is just a one of. Again, that Go to the Top is the closest thing in Wixoss we have to toolboxing right now. And then 1 Ramel. The future set moving forward is becoming more and more Ramel's territory again, as we are moving away from multicolored vanillas and we start moving more into a lot of blue or white utility Signia at level 1, which we are entering in that phase. Those things are powered 3000 or less. So Ramel ends up becoming much, much, much more powerful with that. Celebre helps round off the level 1s of sides with your obligatory put servants in the deck. Celebre just still has a fantastic life burst. That's the main reason you're using it. Plus 5,000 is a really good attacking stat. And then what's interesting here is you'll see one Devil Stinger, but you really shouldn't be looking at it as one Devil Stinger. You should be looking at it as like one Devil Stingers, which is a poor man's Diabride. Number 5. Diabride has the ability to, aside from Ener burning your opponent, which is fantastic, that's passive Ener burning your opponent, which is even better. It also has the ability to discard a card from your hand. You get to look at the top 2, basically dig 2, and draw one of those cards, put the other in the trash. Devil Stinger can actually dig a lot deeper. Devil Stinger was old tech that I used to use quite a bit in my red aggro decks to dig for guards. So it's just nice to have sort of this backbone of dig at the late game in your red deck, so that way you can forcibly get yourself towards your Diabrides, towards your removals, and more importantly, often towards your Exias. So the Exias here is a weird defensive backbone, but a lot of people won't be seeing it coming around their way. The Exia is just a card that's just like, it makes headaches for your opponent. And when you're playing aggro, Exia isn't so much a control card as it is a win the race card. You play this down and you just say to your opponent, like, look, you can go for it, but I'm minimizing how much damage you're going to be able to do. And that sort of defensive board jockeying is actually quite nice in an aggro deck. And then to round out our Signy, we've got one more axe here. I believe this is just for the life burst. Your life burst is pretty much always going to go off with this more axe. It's always going to basically say, hey, vanish target Signy, because the opponent is going to be so needing the Ener that they're just going to vanish. And then they also can't pay for the 2, usually speaking. And if they do, you're probably winning that game because they have no Ener for their 3 stops. Eternal Influence is a one of here. Again, this card is pretty fantastic with just being able to exceed and get yourselves some, just a completely open field. And 2 Deafening Inferno. Of course, we're not no limit, but this has a life burst. I think red struggles a little bit to fit all the life bursts it wants to play in the deck. In order to free up slots for things like Eternal Influence or this Nobunaga. There's, like you can see here, this non-life burst slot is pretty jam-packed. This life burst slot has maybe a little bit of wiggle room between the Morax and the Devil Stingers, as well as the 2 Deafening Infernos. Just a normal thing that exists. I suppose if you really wanted to, since we are playing a little bit of white here, you could probably pop out the Heras, although that makes the Nabis a little worse. And you could probably play some other white cards that might give you some better life bursts. I think overall this is a really, really solid list. Something a little different than what I would do, but definitely where my mindset would be at to start, to try to say, I want to be aggro, but I want to be a little bit disruptive aggro. And I think Anthony made this deck quite brilliantly for that type of thing. If there were other suggestions that I would make, and again, I'm saying you could take this blanket and just start using it. I would consider maybe you could swap out Go to the Top for Innocent One if you wanted to be a little bit more defensive. It's not a Dream Team piece, so you'll be fine to do that. Plus, it gives you a little bit more of your Exceed in the main deck or in the lrig deck, so you don't have to, this being your only Exceed card. I would like to see more Internal Influences, but I don't exactly know how you fit it in there without using these as some more options for your life per slot. I suppose you could maybe go down a few Iwatoshis and put down some Cargos instead, which would free up this to maybe go with a couple Eternal Influences if you weren't going for the Innocent One. But that would be sort of like maybe a spin on this type of deck that I might take in my own direction. But again, Anthony has always proven time and time again to just have these wacky, awesome, spicy brews that end up working really, really well. Just because all of the cards go towards a very specific purpose. And the very specific purpose for Yuzuki is to be aggressive while maximizing your Ener burn as best as possible. And the deck, I think, very much supports that game plan. And that's it. So let me know how you guys like it. I hope you've been enjoying this Wixoss series. We've got Tama coming up. It's just a little bit late because we've got a guest speaker for that one as well, a guest deck designer. So yeah, see you guys soon. May you always feel the life burst.